This next guest I have coming on has over 40 years in theater. She is a theater major and she has directed a lot of plays, and not only directed, but she's run a lot of organizations who deal with theater. I'd like to welcome to the stage, and it's an honor to bring up Carla Gipson, everybody. Carla, welcome, welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Brian.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
How are you?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Now, you are in the field of theater, and I know you have so many credentials. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you have accomplished and some of the things you've done.
Well, I started getting involved with theater when I was in high school, so that's where that over 40 years comes from. I was a teenager at that time, but I kind of fell in love with theater when I was in high school. We did a number of plays, one which really affected me very deeply. And from then on, I just really, it was just very hard to shake. I just knew that it was something that I was always going to do.
Now, you have an amazing rap sheet. You've worked with the Playhouse.
Yes.
You've worked with the Victorian. Name some of the theaters that you've worked with, some of the other ones.
I have worked with the Fairview, Top Hat Productions.
Okay.
The Oakland Center for the Arts, which is no longer in the area where it used to reside, but they still exist with a theater. I do my own writing, and
Wonderful.
so I have done some work outside of the city as well. I've worked in PA.
Oh, good.
And just a number of other different people, but a lot of community theater work. I've worked with just about all of them.
Now you're in a new environment, a new age where the fundamentals are still there. So what have you seen change over the year besides technology? Has things gotten better or have things gotten worse when it comes to theater?
Well, you know what? I think that's a good question, and I think that even in the world of theater, community theater, whatever kind, we do still have these changes with this newer, they call millennial group of people, and I don't say that in any wrong way, but there's just a different mindset. I'm old school.
Yeah.
So I come from a time where, you get on that stage and you project your words and your songs and they hear it in the back of the house.
Yeah.
And today, that's not really quite the training that they get, because the first thing that you're going to get is a lavalier, you're going to get, a mic pack.
Yeah.
So some of those kind of training things, some of those kind of physical training things that you had when you were an old school performer don't really exist. The kids are used to having a headset on. They're used to having a mic to speak through, so they don't learn that art of projecting, that skill of projecting and offering clarity to the back of the house. There's a lot of new age plays too. You get away from the classics. Some of them are known, but there's a lot of newer work, and some of this newer work really, crosses boundaries for, sex, gender, race. So there's a lot of mixing of that maybe we did not have so much of old school. So there, it's more inclusive of a lot more people, which is great. It makes it a lot of fun. So you get a lot of non-traditional casting in there, but there's a lot of things that are written just to be inclusive for many groups. So that is awesome.
It's funny that you mentioned projection, because I've just did a play with his name is Jeff Gordon. He's from Sharon, and he does different types of plays for family. He does plays in a dinner, but we had to use, and it must have been divine, because I had to go back to an old school method where they had to project their voice, and I did notice that they're not projecting their voice. But I guess the other question I have for you is, now you're talking about the new environment, but tell us what has, like, when you compare the writing back then compared to now, what has changed? Once again, has it gotten better or has it gotten worse in your?
Well, you know what? I think that you kind of have to weigh that in the balance, and a lot of that is relative. We live in a climate right now that is very sensitive, and it's very even still politically correct. You've got a lot of people that have a lot of issues, and you don't want to offend, and you don't, and you don't want to encourage the wrong things either. So when you take pieces that may have come from a time where it was not so sensitive or necessary to be correct, people weren't going to take offense, or at least they weren't going to be called out on it, it makes a difference. So when you bring some of those writings into today, you still have to weigh those things in the balance, saying, well, we just been talking about this being a problem, and now we want to reintroduce it and encourage it. We've got to figure out how to balance that out and still keep that away. So, some of the writing may reflect that greater sensitivity now than it may have in the past.
Now, some people are focused on when they first get into theater, they think the idea seems like is, but there's a lot of complex things that goes on behind the scenes, like the lighting. There's a lot of academics that come with theater. You have to know how to, like you said, project your voice. You have to know the stage language.
Yes.
So the last interview I had, I believe, Joyce Jones.
Yes.
She was talking about how the lack of enthusiasm and the participation when it comes to just not only just community theater, but community and theater in the collegiate level coming together and actually making the basis almost like on a Broadway type level,
yes,
where you have that perfection, where you have that professionalism. And she said there was a lacking of it. Would you agree with that?
I do have to agree with her. Once again, I come from another time. When you're talking, the 70s, the 80s, when we were coming up, we were in theater to perform, but we were being educated on how to do things right too.
Yeah.
So it's a learning experience as well, not just an experience of having fun, but a training and learning experience. And sometimes that teaching is just not there for those that are coming up, or sometimes they're not paying enough attention to even want to grasp hold to it. They just don't want to.
Yeah.
They have their mind on doing one thing, and that's it, and let me go. So you lose a lot of the kind of commitment, the kind of heart commitment that you may have seen in the past from some young people who just feel like, well, I just want to be a star. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
When over the years that I've come up, I've been on stage as an actress, in leading roles, in extra roles, walk-ons, singing, singing in the choir, singing as a main performer, doing props, stage managing, assisting the stage manager. Doing lights, directing, of course. So I've done a little bit of everything. That helps me because I get a better idea of what it takes and what goes on.
No, it's amazing. When we talk about professionalism and the quality and you see, you look at it as a profession. You come in, you take the job seriously. And another thing I've noticed is that this new generation has almost more efficient equipment that they had back then. They have, the articulate, the designs. When you go into like if you go downtown and you go to maybe like a Stambaugh Auditorium or Powers or the Dior, you look at the architect that was put into a theater back then. It's a little bit different now. They've kind of created a custom setting where you come in. So when you see that just the effort that was put in back then, and I'm sure you probably agree that this generation has probably gotten fragile as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to work too hard
these
days. You really don't want to work too hard, and it does make you kind of fragile. There's nothing that you can put in place of that hard work that is going to. So it is really too bad that we've come to that place, but we still have a group and a generation of people who understand and appreciate, the old school and traditional ways. Yeah. And there's still a good remnant and number of young people that are coming up enough that are willing to grasp onto that and listen, so that once they get stronger and come up, they can still progress and continue on in a better way. Some people are going to drop by the wayside.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do if you can't tell them if they don't want to learn?
They want to learn.
So there's enough that's still going to
Yeah.
follow through and carry that same kind of theater legacy with them.
Now tell us a little. Now you're getting into. You've got some plays coming up. Tell us about your directing experience. What have you been able to accomplish so far?
Well, my directing experience spans for about 20 years. I have, worked in a couple of different theaters directing, published pieces, and I'm also a writer, so I've directed my own pieces. But I've done Christmas is Coming Uptown, G's Ben, To Be Young, Gifted, in Black, to name a few others. Right now, I'm directing Fences at the Victorian Players Theater.
I'm probably going to come see that.
Yeah, I got a flyer for you. I'm going to give you a flyer.
Perfect.
But we've started working on that. We're in the process of rehearsal right now. Our opening night is September 1st. So we're going to run 2 weekends, 5 shows, and Fences is a drama.
Yeah.
So, but I've directed comedy, musical, and drama, but this one is a drama.
That was one of the rare movies, because I haven't seen a lot of good literature-based movies in a while. And when I seen that movie came out, it was original, and the content stayed right towards which was working its way up to the climax. It stayed basic. It didn't go. It didn't go out of character. I haven't seen a movie like that in a while, so it was original.
Yeah.
I think the last movie I seen that was original, but it was a little bit rated R, was St. Vincent.
Okay.
You know, when you get those good movies and you watch them and you're like, wow, this is an interesting concept. And it was just literature. It can happen in a normal day-to-day life.
Yes.
You know, they have a lot of special effects movies, but that was so you're directing that. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, you know what, I feel pretty good about it. It's one of August Wilson's pieces. He has a series of work. This would be his most famous piece.
Yeah.
The movie was recently produced by Denzel Washington.
Yeah, Denzel.
And when I watched the movie, I was pleased that the movie was really true to the script.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people take a lot of liberties and a lot of embellishment, and it just turns it into a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But the movie really is true to the script, and the script is excellent, is just not even a word to describe it. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning script. It's won Tonys.
You can tell. Yeah, you can tell.
Right. And so it was written in 1987, and I, as a matter of fact, performed in Fences myself in 1992.
So,
I played the part of Rose.
And you know what's sad is I didn't even know. I knew about it, but I had never heard about it until they made a movie about it. I'm just always so busy doing videography work, so I didn't. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of research into what I watch, but I did take the time to watch it, and I was very pleased. I didn't know that you were directing it. I did not know that, so I'll definitely have to come check it out.
Well, good.
Tell us a little bit about the cast before we go to break. Tell us a little about your cast.
The cast is a cast of 7 people. 7 wonderful actors and actresses. I have John McCants, who is playing the lead character, Troy Maxon. A lot of people will probably know his name. He is a pastor out at Grace AME Church in Warren. Another young man who is also from that area, Kevin Stringer, is playing the brother Gabriel.
Good.
I have Miss Jayetta Jackson, who is playing Rose Maxon, the wife of Troy, and a very established actor from this area, who a lot of people know, D.C. Colvin.
Okay.
He's playing the best friend Bono. 2 wonderful young men are playing the sons of Troy. One is Daniel Colvin, who is Lyons, and Dwayne DJ Davis, who is Corey.
Great.
And then we have a sweet, sweet little girl who's playing Raynell. Her name is Kiera LaBooth. So it is a cast of 7 lovely, wonderful actors and actresses. So we are really working hard and hoping that we're really going to bring you a good show.
Great. Well, we'll be right back. We are in the Mediator, and I have Carla Gipson on the show. She's talking about theater and some of the work that she's done. We'll be right back here in the Mediator. We're going to take a quick break here in the Mediator with Brian West. We'll be right back.
I used to be married, Mr. Cunningham. I know what it's like to lose someone.
He's got a real tender-looking face. What do you expect me to do with this guy?
Listen, I don't want any trouble. I just want to fight. That's all I want.
Oh, I'm gonna get you to fight. I might even fight you myself.
Where's Nate? He was his first fight and he's nowhere in sight. God probably offered himself.
Take that back, Jim.
You made $1,000 on your first fight, and you're sleeping in your damn car? Are you kidding me?
I like my car, all right? I don't want to go home. I like my car.
So, Dr. Reggie sent me to tell you to meet him at his hotel room.
Okay, he's in town?
Yes, he is, and he knows you've been making money too.
Well, I've been putting on some shows.
Listen, I don't care about your shows. What we need to be talking about is we need to be discussing my money. That's our number one priority, okay? Once they found the switches, we became the victims. We became the test dummies. But I may have found a way to stop this. What about my wife? This is my time to talk to Brenda about my wife.
Don't worry about her.
The establishment of doctors and scientists have gotten out of hand.
You've lost your mind. They're gonna lock you up.
Did you take your meds? No human subject, you're screwed.
I refuse to just sit here and do nothing, Lou. See, I've got nothing to lose.
Just kill me. I don't want to put you through this. I'm sorry.
Jackie, look at me, right? Look at me. I want you to listen to me. Everything will be fine, right? Optimism is the best medicine, okay? All right, we are back. I'm here with Carla Gipson, and she is talking about theater and the new age. Now, you got the show coming up, and you've done a lot. You've done a lot of work in the theater field, and so now when we talk about the people that you've been working with,
Yes.
who would you like to work with? Who have you always wanted to work with on stage?
On stage?
Yeah.
Well, you expect me to say Denzel Washington, don't you?
I just want to know.
You know what? I do have a lot of actors and actresses that, when something comes, I'm like, oh man, wouldn't it be just great to just share a little piece? I don't have just one, so I really can't name just one.
Yeah.
But I played that role before, so
See,
I could have probably rocked it with Denzel.
People. When I first came, Miss Joyce introduced me to the theater world. People don't know that theater is really, it's like a game that you have to play, because some people may forget their lines. So that experience when you're up there, and the audience, the secret is the audience never knows.
They should never know.
But they don't know when somebody makes a mistake.
Right.
And I think that's the magic of it. But it always comes together somehow, some way. So when Miss Joyce introduced it to me, I went down there and I saw a few actors that I was like, wow. I mean, they're very trained, and they don't get paid. And they were talking about this with community theater. Now, what do you feel about that? You being in theater for so long, do you think that money sometimes takes the essence of what is actually the passion away, or do you think money plays, or do you think that people in theater should receive something for their?
Well, on this level in theater, just like many other things, when you are doing something that is community-based, nonprofit-based, oftentimes your product is going to be the result of volunteerism.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what they are, volunteers. Your volunteers are going to come from the person who is just playing an ensemble cameo all the way up to the director.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't always get paid. Now, there are some theaters who may have a few more resources that may be able to pay some of their technical people. In community theater, you don't necessarily have union people. If you do, they have to be paid. But musicians are always going to get paid if you have, for example, because they are that. It would be nice if everybody could be compensated in that way, but in community theater, like I said, it's mainly nonprofit. It doesn't work. Regional theater, you're going to get paid some money. So if you could get to that place where you paid actors, it would be great, and it would be more incentive and more motivation for them to come in. But a lot of people who do community theater do it from our heart because we love it. From just saying that I just want to be in the show so that I can be in the background, to playing the lead role, to directing, to building the sets. We have a fantastic, awesome set designer at Victoria who's been working on our set tirelessly. It's an unpaid job, but when you go and see that house that he built on stage, you're going to be in awe.
Unbelievable.
And it's work that you do because that's what you love to do. You bring your skill set in, and there's a lot of different skills that are required to put a show together, So
I thought that question was important because people in this, we talked about the new generation when we first started out, but people are so money oriented, and it's good to get something for what you do, but people who have done it for a long time, I mean, you see, what people don't know is sometimes directors sleep at their theaters. Sometimes they're on their last dollar. Most of my projects have been funded out of my own pocket.
Exactly.
So people, I brought that question up so people can understand the seriousness and why people should take it seriously when they do come in there. So we're down to our last minute, and I always ask this question for everybody. We've talked about, we've covered a wide range of things, but I always ask this question because it's important. Now, when your run is up and you've done your last play, what would you have liked to see change for the next generation?
Good question. Going back to the question about some kind of compensation. That's always going to be nice.
I believe it.
That's always going to be something nice. But it takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot of sponsorship. It takes investors. It takes people putting money in.
People have to get involved.
Right, to get a result like that. Now, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that we get into a climate where the actors and actresses that do come do take it more seriously when they get in there to work their rehearsals out and understand that they really are learning a craft and being able to then, display their skill set. And don't worry about whether or not you're getting paid, but be motivated by your heart and wanting to learn and being the best that you can be at what you're doing.
People have to support it. As you heard it from Carla Gipson, get out, support the arts. We've seen, when you see the movie industry struggle, just imagine what goes on in the theater world. So if you have that extra money and you're out on town, take the time to read the paper, see what community plays are playing, and you might even be able to get involved and get your kids involved too. I'd like to thank you so much for tuning to the Mediator this week. If you want to help us out in any way, please go to our website, buy something, click on something, or just read something. I want to thank you so much for tuning to the Mediator, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want to thank Carla for coming on the show. How can people get in contact with you if they want to contact you personally? Are you on Facebook?
You can reach me on Facebook under Carla D. Gipson. You can find me there. You can message me there. I will answer.
Great. Thank you so much for tuning to the Mediator this week. Have a good week, everybody.
All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is